Yeah, here is Istanbul. The first light of morning glides through the sky, illuminating Istanbul below. The Maiden's tower sparkles on the sea with its elegant silhouette. The grandeur of Topkapi Palace came to life, merging with its surrounding gardens under the warm rays of the sun. And the magnificent structure of Galata Tower begins to emerge. At that moment, among these beauties, there is someone sleeping in a small house. It's Mehmet. Mehmet awoke from a beautiful dream to a voice saying,
Mehmet, wake up my son, breakfast is ready.
He slowly opened his eyes, took a deep breath, and yawned. He was still in a light happiness brought by the dream, but the sound of reality quickly brought him back to himself. He was so affected by his dream that he decided to go to the country he saw in his dream, which was Indonesia. He sat up in bed and turned towards the window. Outside, it was a beautiful morning in Istanbul. The chirping of birds and the bright sunlight reflected the peace of the morning. He washed his face, went to the kitchen to get his tea, and without having breakfast, he went out to the garden and sat down. Birds were flying around him, singing songs, while butterflies danced with each other. The lush green trees and the bright blue sky were a blessing from God, created in perfect harmony. Then, he noticed a small bug rolling something on the grass. Squinting his eyes while watching the bug, he realized what it was rolling, a dung ball. As Mehmet watched this little creature in astonishment, he mumbled to himself sarcastically,
Oh, God, you created everything so beautifully, but did you create this bug just to deal with filth?
Without dwelling on the thought for too long, he continued to sip his tea. Days chased one another in Istanbul. He had bought a ship ticket to travel to the country from his dream. Aside from this, Mehmet's life continued in its usual course. He suddenly fell seriously ill one day. His body was constantly burning with fever, and weakness felt as though it would bring him to the ground with every step. Desperate, he tried every possible way. Despite visiting dozens of doctors, no one could find a cure for Mehmet's ailment. Finally, a wise doctor said,
The only cure for your illness is a single remedy. Look, sometimes there is a bug in the gardens that rolls around in filth. You will have to eat the filth it rolls for 40 days without a break.
A momentary look of shock and disgust appeared on Mehmet's face. How could something like that possibly help him get better? However, in desperation, he had no choice but to follow the doctor's advice. As the days passed, the pain in his body began to lessen, and he started to regain his former health. Over time, Mehmet fully recovered. However, this experience taught him that everything in the universe has a purpose, and that one should not interfere with God's plans. He had mocked the dung beetle, but when he needed it, he realized his mistake. Months passed, and the ship that Mehmet would board for his journey to Indonesia was waiting for him at the port. He was truly a crazy person. He was about to embark on a months-long sea journey influenced by a dream, crossing oceans to reach an unknown land. He finally boarded a large ship and embarked on a long journey. As the ship sailed in the middle of the sea, a sudden storm broke out. The wind was shaking the ship, and the waves were crashing against the deck. As the passengers ran around in a panic, shouting, "Oh God, where did this storm come from? Please, let our ship not sink, and may the storm calm down." Mehmet sat with his legs crossed, calmly sipping his tea. Amidst the shouts of everyone on the ship, a woman, crying helplessly, approached Mehmet.
While everyone is praying in fear, how can you remain so calm?
Once I interfered in God's work, and he made me eat filth for 40 days. I've repented. I won't interfere in God's work again. If God wants, he'll let the ship sail, and if God wants, he'll let it sink.